I knew I was going to die when I reached into my pocket and realized my phone wasn't there. I was standing inside a school freezer kept below zero, deadbolted shut, on a Friday afternoon. The only sound was the freezer running, no footsteps, no voices, no help coming. Just the cold starting to bite and the room doing exactly what it was built to do. I worked warehouse and food delivery for a school district. Routine work, safe work, nothing dangerous. That's why this still doesn't feel real. It was Friday afternoon around 2:35. That end of the week silence had already settled in. One of the loading dock gates was closed, which told me a janitor had already come through to dump trash. The other usually came later. Neither of them ever went into the kitchen. The freezer sat deep inside the building, past multiple hallways, buried in the main distribution kitchen. Janitors stayed on the opposite side of the school. They didn't clean that area. They didn't pass through it. They didn't come within 100 feet of that room. I backed into the loading dock, parked the truck, checked the time on my phone, then tossed it onto the seat without thinking, grabbed my keys, and opened the back of the truck. 2 boxes. I stared at them for a second, then looked at my hand truck. Oh, what the hell? I'm feeling lazy. I loaded the boxes onto the hand truck and wheeled them inside. That decision is the only reason I'm alive. The industrial freezer was massive, about 20 feet by 25 feet. A steel box that fed 7 schools. Every meal went through that room. I opened the door and rolled the boxes in. The door slammed shut behind me. Heavy. Final. I remember thinking the day was almost over and I wanted out. I figured I'd leave the boxes right by the door. Easy for the head cook. Quick for me. Win-win. I dropped the boxes and reached for the handle. It didn't move. At first, I wasn't scared. I thought it was suction. The freezer was airtight. Sometimes the pressure made the door stick. I leaned into it harder. My boots slid on the frozen floor. Nothing. I kicked it. Harder. That's when I heard it. The solid, unmistakable clang of a deadbolt. That sound emptied my chest. This freezer had a deadbolt, a safety feature meant to keep kids out, and it was thrown. Started pacing immediately, fast, erratic. The cold wasn't dramatic yet, but it was everywhere, crawling up through the soles of my boots, biting at my fingers, tightening my face. Every breath felt sharper than the last, like the air itself had edges. Then it hit me. The boxes. I'd set them right next to the door. They must have hit the thumb latch and thrown the bolt. Relief hit me so hard my knees almost buckled. I rushed back to the door and grabbed the thumb latch. It wouldn't move. I pulled harder. The thumb latch snapped clean off in my hand. That was the moment. Panic turned into certainty. A hot, sick wave like I'd never felt before rolled through me. My stomach dropped. My vision tunneled. I was deadbolted inside a freezer that by law never went above 0, and that I'd personally seen running closer to -10. It was Friday afternoon. Everyone was gone. The night custodians would be in the building, but nowhere near the kitchen. No one would walk past this door. No one would hear anything. No one would open it. Not until Monday morning. I scanned the room, grabbing at ideas. The cooling unit. Maybe I could break it. No, the insulation was too thick. Even if I shut it down, it would take days to warm up. I found the thermostat and cupped it in my hands, trying to warm it enough to trigger an alarm, hoping maybe someone somewhere would notice. The alarm tripped, a flashing light, a dull beep. Local. Worthless. And then the freezer reacted. The unit kicked on hard. The hum dropped into a deeper register, heavier, more aggressive, and my stomach sank as I realized what I'd done. By warming the thermostat, I'd told the system the room was too warm, so it corrected. The freezer didn't hesitate. It went into full cooling mode. I felt it immediately. The air changed. My breath came out thinner, sharper. The cold stopped creeping and started pressing. It felt like the walls were exhaling, and I remember thinking with sick clarity, I just made this worse. I'd tried to save myself, and instead told the machine to pull more heat out of the room, out of me. My fingers burned, then stiffened. My breath grew shallow, like my chest didn't want to expand anymore. The skin on my face went numb in patches. That's when I reached into my pocket. Nothing. I checked again. Nothing. My phone was still on the seat of my truck. Even if it hadn't been, I knew there was no service inside the freezer. Too much insulation, too much concrete. That realization crushed the last part of me that thought someone might show up. I started pacing again, faster now. That's when I noticed the window. Small, triple pane safety glass, thick, designed not to shatter. I walked up to it and screamed. I screamed until my throat hurt, until my voice cracked, knowing, even as I did it, that no one was close enough to hear me. The sound felt like it died the second it left my mouth. That's when I started punching the glass. I couldn't feel my hands anymore, so it didn't hurt. I just hit it until something in my head screamed that I was wasting time. I stepped back, looked around, and saw the hand truck. I grabbed it and rammed it into the glass like a battering ram, 10 times, 15, 20. Nothing. I flipped it and started swinging it like an axe. Again and again. Still nothing. I dropped to the floor, and that's when my mind went somewhere else. I thought about the people I'd loved and lost, the relationships I'd wrecked or let rot, friends I used to have who wouldn't even recognize my life now. I thought about all the time I'd wasted, thinking I had more of it. And I thought about my daughter, 7 years old. I was supposed to pick her up in 15 minutes. She'd be standing there looking for my car, thinking I forgot her. Warm tears ran down my face and froze as they fell, and I remember thinking, very calmly, at least she'll be a millionaire after the lawsuit. That's how certain I was. I wasn't getting out. Then something snapped. Glass like that is weakest at the edges. I stood up, picked up the hand truck like an executioner lifting an axe, and went for the frame. 5 swings, 10, 20. The glass spider webbed. I froze. Then I laughed. Short, broken sound. Because I understood what it meant. I hadn't failed. I succeeded. I'd broken one pane, and if I could break one, I could break all 3. For the first time since the door slammed shut, I knew I was getting out. I dropped the hand truck. Its blade was bent from the beating. I clawed at the shattered glass with my bare hands, slicing my fingers open, not caring. I tore the first pane away. I picked up my hand truck and smashed out the second, then the third. Each one breaking felt unreal, like the world finally giving something back. I leaned out of the opening and screamed again, louder this time, still nothing. Didn't matter. I hoisted myself out head first, one shoulder at a time, hands bleeding. I spilled out onto the kitchen floor. I paced the kitchen, shaking. It didn't feel real, like I was waiting to wake up. Then I saw the clock, 3:15. I called my boss and told her she needed to come immediately. I told her I'd smashed a freezer window and had to leave to pick up my kid. I don't remember exactly what I said, just that my words kept coming out wrong. When she arrived, she stopped short. Blood on the floor, blood on the freezer door, glass everywhere. She didn't say much. Neither of us did. I left. A few days later, They told me they'd gone over everything: the lock, the thumb latch, the door, the alarm. There was no internal release that still worked, no secondary exit, no hidden override. Breaking the window had been the only logical way out. They fixed the window, updated procedures, moved on. I didn't. I still work there, but I don't let the freezer door shut when I'm alone anymore. Thanks for listening, and if you could, please subscribe. It helps a lot.